Welcome, my dear students. Once again, I am ready with a new chapter, Prose 5, Indigo for Standard 12. And I will begin with the introduction first about the author.
Page 46, Lesson 5, Indigo. About the author, Louis Fisher, who lived between 1896 and 1970, was born in Philadelphia. He served as a volunteer in the British Army between 1918 and 1920. Fisher made a career as a journalist and wrote for the New York Times, the Saturday Reviews, and for European and Asian publications. He was also a member of the faculty of Princeton University. The following is an excerpt from his book, The Life of Mahatma Gandhi. The book has been reviewed as one of the best books ever written on Gandhi by Times Educational Supplement.
So let us start with summary first. In this chapter, Louis Fisher narrates Gandhiji's struggle at Champaran for the poor people. The peasants at Champaran were sharecroppers with the British planters. The peasants produced indigo on 15% of the land area, and according to an old agreement, they had to give it as rent to the landlords. It was around 1917 the Germans started developing synthetic indigo, and this mitigated the requirement of indigo for British planters. In order to release the peasants from the 15% old agreement, the Britishers demanded compensation from them. Most of the illiterate peasants agreed to it except a few. During that period, Gandhiji appeared in Champaran. He looked into the matter, stood by the side of the poor peasants, and fought a long battle of 1 year, managing to get justice for them. This made the peasants courageous and made them aware of their fundamental rights. Gandhiji's work at Champaran did not just confine to political or economic struggle. He also worked on social issues like arrangements for education, health and hygiene for the families of the poor peasants. He taught them the lessons of self-reliance and self-dependence. This was one of the first struggles that paved the way for India's independence. Now it is time for explanation line by line.
Notice these expressions in the text. Infer their meaning from the context. Urged the departure. Conflict of duties. Harbor a man like me. Seek a prop. Now the chapter. When I first visited Gandhi in 1942 at his ashram in Sevagram in central India, he said, "I'll tell you how it happened that I decided to urge the departure of the British. It was in 1917. He had gone to the December 1916 annual convention of the Indian National Congress Party in Lucknow. There were 2,301 delegates and many visitors. During the proceedings, Gandhi recounted, "A peasant came up to me, looking like any other peasant in India, poor and emaciated, and said, 'I am Rajkumar Shukla. I am from Champaran, and I want you to come to my district.' Gandhi had never heard of the place. It was in the foothills of the towering Himalayas near the kingdom of Nepal. Under an ancient arrangement,
So let me start with the explanation part. He says that in the month of December, here he refers to Louis Fisher, the author. In 1916, Mahatma Gandhi went to attend the annual meeting of the Indian National Congress at Lucknow. There were about 2,301 representatives and visitors. Gandhi recalled that a small farmer named Rajkumar Shukla came to him, who was poor and thin. He requested Gandhi to visit Champaran, a place in the foothills of the Himalaya mountain range near the kingdom of Nepal.
the Champaran peasants were sharecroppers. Rajkumar Shukla was one of them. He was illiterate but resolute. He had come to the Congress session to complain about the injustice of the landlord system in Bihar, and somebody had probably said, "Speak to Gandhi."
So I think my students have understood. This time there is a new thing that the text will be read by somebody else. All the meanings I have already mentioned, and the explanation part is in green color that I will read. So I think this will be a change which you like, and you will not be it will not be difficult for you to understand. So Rajkumar Shukla told Gandhi that he was a sharecropper. A sharecropper is a farmer who gives a part of the crop as rent to the owner of that piece of land that he cultivates. He told him that because of an old agreement, many of the peasants in Champaran and were sharecroppers. He had come to meet Gandhi on someone's suggestion, as he was determined to find a solution for the sharecroppers who were facing hardships due to the agreement. He sought Gandhiji's help. And now, text part.
We have already started page number 47. Gandhi told Shukla he had an appointment in Kanpur and was also committed to go to other parts of India. Shukla accompanied him everywhere. When Gandhi returned to his ashram near Ahmedabad, Shukla followed him to the ashram. For weeks he never left Gandhi's side. "Fix a date," he begged. Impressed by the sheer
After hearing his problem, Gandhiji told him that he had to visit Kanpur and some other parts of India due to prior appointments. Shukla went with him everywhere. After this, Gandhi returned to his ashram near Ahmedabad. Shukla was always there with him for several weeks, begging him to fix a date to visit Champaran.
sharecropper's tenacity and story, Gandhi said, "I have to be in Calcutta on such and such a date. Come and meet me and take me from there." Months passed. Shukla was sitting on his haunches Impressed by the sharecropper's tenacity and story, Gandhi said, "I have to be in Calcutta on such and such a date. Come and meet me and take me from there." Months passed. Shukla was sitting on his haunches at the appointed spot in Calcutta when Gandhi arrived. He waited till Gandhi was free. Then the two of them boarded a train for the city of Patna in Bihar. There, Shukla led him to the house of a lawyer named Rajendra Prasad, who later became president of the Congress Party and of India. Rajendra Prasad was out of town, but the servants knew Shukla as a poor yeoman who pestered their master to help the indigo sharecroppers. So they let him stay on the grounds with his companion, Gandhi, whom they took to be another peasant. But Gandhi was not permitted to draw water from the well, lest some drops from the bucket pollute the entire source. How did they know that he was not an untouchable?
So this is time for explanation. As Gandhi was impressed with the determination of the peasant, he said that he would be visiting Kolkata after a few months and that Shukla should meet him there on the day that had been fixed. Shukla was eagerly waiting for Gandhiji. When Gandhi got free, they both took a train to Patna. Then they went to the house of a lawyer, Rajendra Prasad, who later became the President of India. When they reached there, he was not at home, but the servants allowed both of them to stay at the grounds because they knew Shukla. They all knew him because Shukla used to assist their master in helping indigo sharecroppers. They did not allow Gandhi to draw water from their well, as they took him to be an untouchable and did not want to pollute the entire water source.
Think as you read. Number 1. Strike out what is not true in the following. A. Rajkumar Shukla was A. a sharecropper, B. a politician, C. a delegate, D. a landlord. Next, Rajkumar Shukla was A. poor, B. physically strong, C. illiterate. The next, why is Rajkumar Shukla described as being resolute? The next, why do you think the servants thought Gandhi to be another peasant? Now we go on with the chapter. Gandhi decided to go first to Muzaffarpur, which was en route to Champaran, to obtain more complete information about conditions than Shukla was capable of imparting. He accordingly sent a telegram to Professor J.B. Kripalani of the Arts College of Muzaffarpur, whom he had seen at Tagore's Shantiniketan school. Page 48. The train arrived at midnight, 15th April 1917. Kripalani was waiting at the station with a large body of students. Gandhi stayed there for 2 days in the home of Professor Malkani, a teacher in a government school.
Explanation. As Shukla was not able to provide Gandhi with adequate information, therefore he decided to go to Muzaffarpur, which was on the way to Champaran, to obtain the complete information. He sent a telegram to Professor J.B. Kripalani, who was a teacher at Arts College in Muzaffarpur. Gandhi had seen him at Tagore's Shantiniketan school. Gandhi took a train to Muzaffarpur that arrived at midnight on 15th April 1917. Kripalani was already waiting there with his students. Gandhi stayed there for 2 days at Professor Malkani's home, who was a teacher in a government school.
It was an extraordinary thing in those days, Gandhi commented, for a government professor to harbor a man like me. In smaller localities, the Indians were afraid to show sympathy for advocates of home rule. The news of Gandhi's advent and of the nature of his mission spread quickly through Muzaffarpur and to Champaran. Sharecroppers from Champaran began arriving on foot and by conveyance to see their champion. Muzaffarpur lawyers called on Gandhi to brief him. They frequently represented peasant groups in court. They told him about their cases and reported the size of their fee.
Once again, time for explanation. According to Gandhi, it was a remarkable thing that a government professor was entertaining him, because in those days people in small localities were afraid of supporting those who supported home rule. The news of Gandhi's arrival and the purpose of his mission is spread through Muzaffarpur and Champaran very fast. Sharecroppers started to visit him. Muzaffarpur lawyers informed Gandhi about the whole situation, as they represented various peasants in the court. They explained to him about their cases and the fee that they charged them. And now, text.
Gandhi chided the lawyers for collecting a big fee from the sharecroppers. He said, "I have come to the conclusion that we should stop going to law courts. Taking such cases to the courts does little good. Where the peasants are so crushed and fear-stricken, law courts are useless. The real life for them is to be free from fear." Most of the arable land in Champaran district was divided into large estates owned by Englishmen and worked by Indian tenants. Page 49. The chief commercial crop was indigo. The landlords compelled all tenants to plant 3/20ths of 15% of their holdings with indigo and surrender the entire indigo harvest as rent. This was done by long-term contract.
Now, explanation. Gandhi scolded the lawyers for charging such high fee from the poor sharecroppers. He decided that it was useless to go to the courts, as the judiciary was not doing anything good for the peasants. He said that as long as the peasants were suppressed and full of fear, it was useless to visit the courts. He wanted to set them free from fear. Most of the cultivable land in the Champaran district was owned by Englishmen, who had divided them into various estates. The peasants were the occupants of these lands. Englishmen forced the peasants to cultivate indigo on 15% of their land and to give the crop to them as rent. All this was done through a long-term agreement.